Have you been told that your thyroid's normal, but you have a sneaking suspicion that it's not? Do you have a diagnosed thyroid condition like Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism or Graves' disease or hyperthyroidism? And you're getting your regular blood tests done and you've been told that your labs are fine, that how you're feeling is absolutely not thyroid related, but you feel quite thyroidy. And what I mean by that is that you're tired even though you're getting enough sleep. It's not stress related, it's not exercise related, it's not food related, you're just tired, more tired than you think you should be. There's something going on with your weight, either rapid weight gain, rapid weight loss, or you're exercising really hard, you're really watching what you're eating, nothing's happening in terms of weight loss. Maybe you're experiencing brain fog, so hard to remember, hard to work through a problem. Things that you used to find really easy now are a bit more of a struggle. And maybe there's something going on with your mood. So things that you used to bring joy in your life just no longer do. Or maybe you're feeling just this constant sense of anxiety and heart palpitations and just, like you're running on fumes, So if that's going on in your body, I want to talk about testing and comprehensive testing. Because the thing is, I wasn't always a nutritionist and a naturopath. The reason why I'm so passionate about this and getting this information out there is because of my own story. 20 years ago, I was in the corporate world and really at the top of my game. I had a job I adored and I was good at and I was doing really well, a partner that I loved and a life that I really thoroughly enjoyed living. And yet I was exhausted. Even at the tender old age in my 20s, I would need to sleep all weekend just to be able to go to work on Monday morning and feel vibrant. I would get injured by the easiest of exercise. And probably for me, the most distressing was I just couldn't remember stuff. The brain fog was appalling. And I decided it got to such a bad extent that I'd go off and get tested. Maybe something was wrong with me. Maybe I had glandular fever or mono or, I had low iron levels. And I was told that everything was fine. And when I asked specifically about my thyroid, I was told that my thyroid was perfectly normal and healthy for a girl my age. And that what I was experiencing was just aging. And I thought at the age of 20, surely you're aging? That doesn't sound right, but okay, if that's what I've been told by a doctor, that's what must be going on. And so I decided to put my head down, my tail up, and just ignore how my body was feeling and just get on with life. Because what I had was a nasty case of the whingers or the whiners and the complainers, that everyone out there was feeling like I was, just people weren't complaining about it. That's what was wrong. But what I had been tested for in terms of my thyroid is the gold standard for thyroid testing in North America, Australia, where I am now, and the UK. And that is TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. It's what's used to diagnose a thyroid condition and then to manage a thyroid condition once you're on medication. And so I ignored how I was feeling, and then 10 years later, I started to gain weight rapidly. About 50 pounds in less than 6 months, over 20 kilos, really quickly. Now, I knew this wasn't normal because I could look around and see no one else was gaining weight that rapidly. So it drove me back to get more tests done. And I was diagnosed with a thyroid condition caused by my immune system, which was called Hashimoto's. Put on medication and told that everything would be fine from now on. And unfortunately, it didn't get any better for me. So I went back and I said, no, I'm not okay. And I'm not prepared to be told that I'm just a silly little girl now. Something's not right. And I was referred out to some very learned men who investigated thoroughly. And I ended up being diagnosed with 5 autoimmune conditions and put on a whole host of medications. And I thought that I would feel better, and yet I didn't. I was sleeping for 5 days now just to be able to go to work 2 days and really not performing well or at my best, and in a job that should have been very easy for me. I was gaining weight like a sumo wrestler on summer camp. The thyroid medication didn't stop my weight gain, not one little bit. And that's quite a common story. And so I went back and said, something's still not right with my thyroid because I've got all those original symptoms and yet I'm on medication, something's not right. And yet again, my TSH was tested, my thyroid stimulating hormone, and it was fine. And yet I didn't feel okay. And I was told that what I needed now was a psychiatrist and to be put on antidepressant or anti-anxiety medications, because that's what was wrong with me. It wasn't my thyroid. And that was really the wake-up call for me, because I really felt that something wasn't right in my body. You know, if fatigue, brain fog, weight gain, and by this stage, muscle aches and pains, frequent injuries, constant illness, hair loss, you know, were thyroid symptoms, I had still that exact same set of symptoms. None of them had gone away. How it was now not thyroid related. And it drove me to go back and study. And so 4 years later, I was qualified as a naturopath, nutritionist, and herbalist. And it's become my passion to just spread the word on thyroid. And my practice is very busy. I usually run quite a long wait list, and it made me realize that I needed to get some information out there into the public arena where people could grab it. My clients could look at it before they saw me, while they were waiting to see me, and answer the most commonly asked questions that I get asked constantly, so people have the information. And this is one of the most common questions I get. So before I see you, how do I test my thyroid? And if I have a thyroid disorder and I'm told how I'm feeling is not thyroidy, what do I do? So we need some comprehensive testing. Now, I've already mentioned that TSH is the gold standard for medical professionals to diagnose and then to maintain medication levels when you have a thyroid condition. So let's find out firstly what it is. So thyroid stimulating hormone, or TSH, is the message between your brain and your thyroid. Now, I love to draw drawings, but I'm really crap at them, so bear with me. I just find that they really help when you explain stuff. It's actually not a thyroid hormone. It's actually an anterior pituitary hormone, so it's a brain hormone, and it comes in reaction to your body surveilling, or rather your brain surveilling your body and saying, you know what, I think this is what we need in terms of thyroid hormone. And then your thyroid chooses whether to speed up or to slow down based on what the TSH is telling us. So in perfectly normal, healthy people with no thyroid issues at all, the TSH is a really good measure of what's happening in their body for a thyroid issue. But we've got some credible evidence that actually says that it is not the be all and end all, that it is not the most comprehensive way, particularly when the thyroid is compromised, for knowing what's going on. So this is what I like to do, is test a little bit more. So your thyroid actually makes some hormones: T1, T2, T3, T4, and calcitonin. We're not interested in calcitonin for the purposes of this video, and T1 and T2, we have no reliable way of testing them at the moment, nor do we really know what they do to any great extent. So what we do is we focus on the hormones that we do know work and have an influence on how you feel, and that's T3 and T4. And you can see them here written with a little F in front of it: free T4 and free T3, because there's a difference between total T4 and then free T4. In terms of impacts on how you're feeling, you want the free portion. So you want to see on your blood test that F is written before T4 and T3. So let me explain what they do, because I'm really passionate about my clients, and in fact the thyroid community, knowing how to manage their health so they can have the wellness and the energy and the vibrancy and the vitality that they want and deserve to live their life. So T4 is the storage form of your hormone. So it's important to know what your T4 level is, because we need to know how much potential you have to make active thyroid hormone. Think of T4 like your pantry or your fridge. This is where you go to get the raw ingredients to make a meal, but it's not actually edible food. T3 is your edible food. So T3 is T4 that has been cooked and your body can use the cooked result. So T3, that's just my analogy. So T3 is like food on your plate. So if T4 is storage, it's like your pantry or your fridge. T3 is food on your plate. Your body can actually use T3. Every cell in your body can use T3. So it's vital that we know how much T3 you have in your body. It's your biologically active thyroid hormone. So is that enough? No, I want to go a bit further. There are 2 more blood tests that are essential in anyone testing their thyroid function. And then there's one that I do sometimes, not always, and I'll explain when I do it and when I don't do it. So the next hormone that I want you to check is your reverse T3, or it's written as RT T3. Now, I'm going to put all these tests down in the comments if you just want to go there, plus any kind of research that I refer to, I'll always put in the comments. So if you want to go check it out, you can go have a look at what scientific research I'm basing these conclusions on. So reverse T3 sloshes around in your bloodstream along with your TSH, your free T4, your free T3. Reverse T3 is there. But the thing is, when you get a blood test done, you don't feel the amount of thyroid hormone that sits in your bloodstream. That's not really your energy and your weight and your brain fog. What you're feeling is what's happening in your cells. So at the deepest level in your body, what is going on with T3 in here? So it's really important for us to understand, how does T3 get into the cell, and particularly the part of the cell that your T3 needs to work on to have an influence on that cell. So T3 gets in there via a receptor mechanism, and I've drawn it with a big Y. So a receptor, think of like a lock and a key. So think of T3 is the key and the receptor is the lock. So if you think about it this way, T3 slushes around, it sees a receptor that it can enter into, it sits in it, and then the receptor puts that T3 into the body where it's needed. Hey presto, the door is opened, life is good. But if you have high reverse T3 levels, it doesn't matter how much T3 you've got in your body. It doesn't matter if your plate is filled with food. That was the analogy we used to talk about T3. If you've got a receptor sitting in, if you've got reverse T3 sitting in your T3 receptor, it's like that receptor is closed for business. It's like that lock and key mechanism is closed for business. That door isn't opening. No matter how many keys you try and shove in that lock, there's already one in there. It's closed for business. It's not taking on any T3. So you can see why this is important. People come to me and they've only had their T3 tested and they're like, but I've got heaps of T3 in my body. I should have energy and vitality and be as slim as a rake. And that's not how they're feeling. Well, do we know if that T3 is actually getting where you need it to go? That's why we need to test your reverse T3. And then the next test is the final one that I want everyone to get done if you have a thyroid issue. And that is actually not a thyroid hormone that the thyroid itself makes, but a hormone or a complex that your body makes, your immune system makes, that attacks your thyroid. So what we're talking about here are thyroid antibodies. So it's really important that we know if you feel thyroidy, so fatigued, brain foggy, weight gain, some sort of mood disturbance, that we know if your immune system is making thyroid antibodies that are attacking your thyroid. So in Graves' disease, the thyroid is being attacked and the thyroid makes more thyroid hormone. In Hashimoto's, the thyroid is attacked and the thyroid makes less thyroid hormone. There's really a really interesting study, which is a really good high quality study that really makes some interesting points about the fact that even when someone's TSH, remember that's your gold standard for how you're feeling in terms of thyroid function, even if your TSH was fine, perfect and normal and happy, your thyroid antibodies, if they're raised, can actually give you the same symptoms that an out of balance TSH does. So if we don't know what your thyroid antibodies are doing, how can we say if it's thyroid related or not? So it's really important that you get your thyroid antibodies done. Now, how often should you get these tests done? Well, before you see me, but if you're not seeing me, if this is going out to the general community, you want to get these tests done once a year if you have a diagnosed thyroid condition. Some medical professionals like them once every 6 months, but once a year is the maximum amount, so 6 months to once a year. If you're seeing me, I like to check in with them after we've been working together for about 3 months, just to see if the treatment protocol that we have established is actually having an impact in your body. And then any time that you feel a surge in those distressing thyroid symptoms. So this time of year, it's actually winter where I live. It's cold, the days are getting shorter, it's not as sunny, and I see a real upsurge in my business of people feeling a little bit more hypothyroid than they would like to. So sluggish, tired, slow, brain foggy, gaining weight. And so I think, well, let's get a thyroid test to make sure it's not your thyroid. Now, if you have those symptoms, is it always thyroid? No, it's not. There are actually a number of conditions, plus also nutrient deficiencies and excesses, that can cause those same symptoms. It's just that if we don't know what your thyroid is doing comprehensively, how can we say, like I was told 20 years ago and then even 10 years ago, it's absolutely not your thyroid, when in fact my thyroid was out of balance and not working the way that it should, even when it was being given medication. So, is that it? They were the 5: TSH, free T3, free T4, reverse T3, and thyroid antibodies. No, there's one more, and I said I don't always get this one done. So if you're one of my clients listening to this, you're like, hang on, I don't think she got this one done for me. I don't always do this. There's another way to get the same result, but it's a really easy test to do. It's not terribly expensive, and it's called thyroglobulin. So thyroid hormone and protein, which is globulin. And thyroglobulin is like a bus that transports someone around a neighborhood. Thyroglobulin is the bus that transports thyroid hormone around your neighborhood, your body. So thyroglobulin is really sensitive to a hormone called estrogen. We usually think of estrogen as being a female hormone, but actually dudes have estrogen as well. So male or females can have estrogen. When I request a thyroglobulin test is when I have a sneaking suspicion that what's going on for someone is that their estrogen level is a little out of balance and it's actually putting pressure on the thyroid. Now that can happen. So this is the perfect circumstance of saying, so the thyroid might actually be fine. No antibodies, thyroid's fine, T4 is great, T3 is great, no reverse T3, no thyroid antibodies that we're concerned with, but someone's feeling thyroidy. It can actually be related to your estrogen, your female hormone, so your hormone's estrogen. So thyroglobulin is quite sensitive to estrogen, so that can give me a little insight into the picture of estrogen, and is a really good way for you to quickly, easily, cheaply touch in with what's going on with you. For my clients, sometimes I'll actually send you off for specific estrogen and progesterone tests. So when you test estrogen, I always want progesterone at the same time, because those two hormones have a beautiful rhythm, or like a ballet, and I want to see what both of them are doing, not just one. But you know, we're testing more hormones there, so it can be a little bit more pricey, but it does give me a better picture. So thyroglobulin is kind of pragmatic and easy way to check in with, is something going on with estrogen? Do we need to maybe investigate that as an avenue for you with your thyroid function? So that's it for me talking about testing thyroid. Like I said, I'm going to put those 6 tests down below if you couldn't understand my accent, or maybe I spoke a little bit too fast. Plus, I'll also put the references that I referred to down below as well if you want to go and check on the scientific information based on testing specifically. Please come back and have a chat to me more about concerns with thyroid or female hormones or feeling well and energetic. I love hearing from you, and I'd love to hear what you'd like to talk about next time. Until we speak again, stay well. See you later. Bye-bye.